There comes a point in every woman's life where you stop trying to impress people and start asking yourself one question. Am I becoming the woman that God created me to be? Because I feel like half of the time as women, we spend most of our time caring what people think, caring about people's opinions, caring about our outlook to others. But we actually don't really care or don't really consider, am I actually the woman that God has created me or has intended me to be? Am I living to my full capabilities of being that woman? I'm currently in the season where I'm thinking less about perfection and more about purpose, more about if I was not here right now in this world, what would I leave behind? What would my legacy be? And when I speak about legacy, I'm not talking about materialistic things. What impact would I actually leave behind? And if you're in your 20s or 30s watching this video, I hope by the end of this video helps you to build a life you won't need to ever escape from, to build a life that you will be proud of. Because I think before 40, there are some things that every woman should intentionally work towards. And not because society says so, not because society keeps putting a time frame on women, but because these things that will help to create peace, to make you feel fulfilled, and give you wisdom as a woman. So let's get into it. Your 20s are for learning and not for having it all together. If you're watching this video and you're still in your 20s, please understand your 20s is a time for you to be selfish. Your 20s is a time for you to rediscover yourself. And one of the biggest lies that social media has sold us as women is that by 25, you should own a house, be married, you should have children, you should almost have all your life set up. And sometimes this society makes us think that by 25, you should have businesses, you should have traveled all the world, because those are the limitations that the society and social media has put on women. But real life doesn't work like that. Your 25s or your 20s, I see them as like a training ground. I see them as a time for you to make mistakes, as a time for you to discover who you are, as a time for you to try new things. I see that as a learning ground by yourself, not with anything else attached to you, by yourself. Your 20s are a time where you discover what you like and what you don't like. And where you also realize that not every friendship is meant to last forever. I am 37 right now, and if I look back to the different friendships that I had in my 20s, some of those people, I don't even remember their names. Unless if I go on Facebook. And then I'll scroll like, oh my God, I knew this person when I was 21 or 22. So your 20s right now, you are probably in a season when you're realizing that, certain friendship or certain people that I felt like we were going to grow old together are not really in my life anymore. And that's okay. And that's simply maybe because you are discovering who you are and so are they. Your 20s are a time where you date people and they teach you lessons. You will probably experience your first heartbreak in your 20s. And that's okay, because you need that. You need that to prepare you for real life relationships in your 30s or in your 40s on how to deal with those emotions. You need certain things like heartbreak to happen now in your 20s so you know how to regulate your nervous system, so you know what hurts you, so you know how to deal with pain, so you know who to go for help and support in your 20s. And maybe you discover that you don't actually have as much interest as you thought with a certain boy or girl that you're dating at the time. Your 20s are a time to date, and feel whatever you need to feel. And in your 20s, you will fail. You can start again, and it's okay, because it's a learning ground. And please, don't spend your 20s trying to impress strangers online. They don't even have their life figured out. Spend time investing in yourself. Read books, travel the world. Go to parties. If you drink, come back home drunk. Sit down and laugh with your friends and reminisce about the previous night. This is the time that you have almost all the freedom that you need for self-discovery. And if you're in your 20s or 30, even if you have an opportunity to travel the world, go ahead, travel and explore other parts of the world. The world is such a bigger place. You have Asia, South America, you have Africa. There is so many places, Australia, that you can go and travel the world. Rediscover yourself. You are not limited to what you can do. And traveling doesn't make you better than anyone else. It expands your thinking. It teaches you gratitude. And it simply reminds you how God's world really is, how big this world is. And remember, travel also teaches you independence. It gives confidence. It makes you to be accountable and more responsible for yourself. And those are some of the life skills that every woman needs for herself. And you know, when people are saying like, oh, do you really know yourself? When you do things that are outside the box, when you travel, when you sit within yourself, when you read books, when you explore different things, it makes you a smart woman to a different level. A level that, you know, like if somebody comes to ever question who you are, you can stand up to it and say, I know who I am because I know what I like. I know what makes me happy. Because how can you now expect in your 30s or 40 to find people that can make you happy if you actually don't even know what you like? So do these things in your 20s and your 30s. Discover yourself. And your 20s and 30s are a time for you to ask difficult questions. Who am I when nobody's watching? What values do I actually believe in? What kind of woman do I want to become? What boundaries do I have in place? Because these things will help you as time goes on because you know yourself. It will help you to identify when people are trying to take advantage of you. It will help you to identify when you're selling yourself short because you have this self-awareness. And it will help you not to just tolerate anything, because some of us, we are just tolerating any mistreatment because we don't know what we deserve. Why? Because we haven't actually rediscovered ourselves. You have women that are probably in their late 40s who are going through divorce and they're sitting there thinking, who am I? Because they probably spend their 20s married. They probably met a guy 16, 18 from college, got married, had a couple kids, and now when they're 40 they're divorced and they have no idea who they are besides being somebody's wife, being somebody's mother, being somebody's carer or whatnot. You don't know who you are. You don't even know what you like. Then you started getting lost. Then that starts affecting your nervous system. Then depression will strike in. This all starts when we abandon ourselves. Remember, ladies, self-awareness is one of the greatest gifts you can ever give to yourself. Because when you know who you are, you stop chasing validation. And when you enter your 30s, they're not about rushing life. I feel like your 30s are a time to just relax, to just now enjoy who you are because you are more comfortable in yourself. Your confidence is supposed to show in your 30s. I am 37 right now, and I feel like this is the most time I've actually spent alone and actually understand what I like. I actually think and listen, and I don't have anything that's confusing my judgment. I'm enjoying my 30s. I feel like I'm the best version of myself compared to when I was in my 20s. My 20s were great, but my 30s, honey, this is where it's at. Your 30s are about refining yourself. You become less interested in drama. You become less interested in trends. And you become less interested in pleasing everyone. I actually feel like applying this to myself. Somebody can come and tell me like, oh, people are saying you haven't done this, you haven't done this. I'm actually bored. I won't even listen or entertain it because I have this awareness of myself that nobody can ever come to me and tell me about me. Because I know myself more than anyone in this world. I can post anything on social media and if somebody watches that and think, oh, I have a picture on how Primrose is, you're lying to yourself. I am in this space in my 30s where I just want a warm house, I want these bills paid, and I want to know when my next flight is. That's literally how I'm living my life. I am enjoying each and every day that comes my way. Why? Because I've done the work. Because my 20s I made mistakes. Because my 20s I was so confused. Because my 20s I felt lost and I was crying over things that I felt like, oh my God, these are permanent solutions. And looking back now, the things that I used to worry about in my 20s, right now looking back, those things don't even matter anymore. Those times when I was worrying and stressed about whether it's money, finances, relationship breakdown, those things don't matter anymore in your 30s because it's almost like you're a new person, new responsibilities, which is why self-awareness matters. And I genuinely believe that in your 30s, women start choosing quality over quantity. You start being very particular in the people that you have around you, the friends that you have in your circle, the businesses or things that you're trying to invest in. You start to be more intentional. And I genuinely believe that like in your 30s, if you've done the work and if you're very self-aware of yourself, you actually start to be more intentional with yourself and the things that you surround yourself with. It's almost like in your 30s, you want quality friendships. You want quality relationships. You invest in quality habits. You care more about your health. And your time is precious. I think for me, the other thing what I've realized in my 30s, my time is precious. I would never go out of my way now to travel, 2 hours to London just to go, just because. No, because that's time. Whatever I need to do with my time, it needs to be worth something. And I'm not talking about money or whatever. It has to have a value, because I value my time now. One of the greatest signs of emotional maturities in your 30s is learning to be alone. There's a lot of us out there that cannot be alone. And if you learn to be alone, I'm telling you, you accomplish everything. Take yourself for a coffee. Take yourself on solo walks. Spend time with God. Read your Bible intentionally. And travel if you're comfortable, if you can afford it. And you don't actually need to leave your country. You can go and visit a different city. Go on booking.com. Book a cheap holiday or a cheap hotel somewhere and just go and just treat yourself. Because remember, you can't wait for someone else to start living your life. If you continuously wait and say, oh, until I get, good friends, or until I get into a relationship, then I can achieve these things, that time may never come. And you might get in a relationship and that person probably has different interests to you. Then what do? Do you suppress what you've always wanted to do for yourself because it doesn't align with that person? No. Don't wait for someone else or for other people to start living your life. And for me, the biggest lesson I feel like that I'm learning before 40 is creating my relationship with God, being so intentional around my faith and exactly what I want, the woman that I want to become in front of God's eyes. I feel like almost the past year now has been really difficult for me because, I lost my sister to suicide. And I think it took me to go through that pain to actually dedicate and give my life and my trust to God. I had to give it back to Him. And I feel like now in my 30s, I am at a time and space where I'm just like, I'm giving everything to you, God. I'm giving my time to you, God. I'm trusting you to navigate my life. I'm trusting you with the decisions of my life. Of course I can plan, of course I can put to paper what and how I want my life to be like, but I'm almost learning to give it to God, to say, God, you know what's best for me and I trust in you. I'm also learning to trust God's judgment. I'm also learning to be stronger in my faith and not to pilot out of fear. And I think like now in my 30s, in my late 30s, I'm understanding that sometimes I'm anxious, sometimes I'm fearful, but that spirit is not from God. And I'm realizing that my relationship with God is what anchors me through everything. So if you're like me and you're in your late 30s and you're going into your 40s, please continue to pray. Please read your Bible, your physical Bible. I know some of us now, because we're so much in a digital world, some people say, oh, I'd rather have a Bible app playing at the back. But I feel like there is so much discipline. There is something so nice about holding a physical Bible and just reading that and connecting with God. Trust God with your plans. Invite Him in a space where you feel confused. Invite Him in your decisions, and don't just reach out to Him in a space of emergency. You can do that, but I feel like God is also a jealous God. You can't just reach out to God when you feel like things are falling apart, but when things are going well, you don't reach out to Him. Because becoming the woman that God wants you to be, it takes work, it takes effort. So if you're in your 20s right now, if you're in your 30s, or you're just touching your 40s, just remember this. Stop comparing your timeline to anyone else. Because comparison simply steals your joy. Comparison takes away the ability for you to look at yourself and appreciate and be grateful for where you are and what you have. Some women marry at 24. Some women marry at 44. It doesn't matter. There is no timeline on when you have to do things. Whatever you do, it only has to make sense to you. Some women become mothers early, some late, some they never want to have children, and it's okay. Other women, they discover themselves at 50. I've been on YouTube lately, and I know they've got this new regulation of how many hours you need to have to be monetized. And I've been watching women in their 50s, 60s, in their little rooms at the corner on YouTube. And I'm like, I love this, because I think like people have a perception that to be on YouTube, you have to be, this type of person or this age. But seeing women in their 50s and 60s discovering themselves and starting on a YouTube journey, I'm like, that is so amazing. And remember, there is no price for arriving first. So if you're in a season in your life where you're looking, you're seeing your friends are graduating, they're buying cars, buying houses, they're starting families, they're traveling around the world, and you're thinking you're feeling left behind, just remember this. There simply is no prize. There is no way out there that somebody's waiting there with a trophy saying, oh, you traveled the world first before Primrose, there's a trophy. Oh, you got married before all your friends, there's a trophy. No, everyone's timeline is different. So don't measure your life against someone else's Instagram reel or someone else's TikTok story. Stay focused on your own assignment. So for me, before 40, I'm simply not chasing any perfectionism. I am ready and excited to make the mistakes that I'm gonna make and learn from them and grow from them, because this is my journey. And I'm simply chasing peace. I'm simply chasing healing. My heart has been broken. You know, I lost my sister to suicide. Grief has been so difficult. Managing that, managing family, managing work has been so difficult. But you know what's been good throughout this? God. God has not left me behind. I'm in my left 30s now and I'm dealing with new emotions. I'm dealing with new difficulties, but I am facing them head on. Why? Because I have God. Because my faith is strong. And if you're watching this, I hope you remember this. You don't need to have everything figured out right now. You simply need to keep becoming who you are called to be, who you want to be. Remember why you started. Remember the stage of your life that you're at right now can simply change only if you want to make the change. And if this video encouraged you, please don't forget to like, share, and please share it with another woman right now that you feel like they might need this encouragement. I love you guys, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.